Hello everyone, and welcome back to 3D modeling tutorials. Today we're going to be going over some more sketch features such as arcs, fillets, polygons, chamfers, and some basic extrusions, as well as dimensioning, changing the dimensioning units. So I guess we'll just start with the last topic that I was telling you about. In Fusion 360, it's a little bit tricky to get to the unit changing compared to like SolidWorks. But anyways, on a Mac, you can go up here to your preferences, and then you want to find the tab that says unit and value display, and in here you can change the units as well as your decimal display and your how many scientific notation and all this other stuff. Anyways, what we're looking for is this the display unit. So I think we're looking at this one, and we're going to go ahead and change this from metric to English, and that'll put everything in inches and whatnot. So yeah, so we'll put it in the inches, pound mass, psi, and apply. Okay, and then if you notice, I'll go ahead and draw something real quick. When I put in my sketch dimensions, they're going to be in inches instead of millimeters, which they were in for the previous videos. And in most cases, you'll be in millimeters. It just depends on your design specifications and preference. I usually don't change it unless I have to, but in this case, I just thought I'd show you guys how to do that. Okay, so go ahead and start over. We're going to be making a, I don't know, sort of like a hex key looking thing. And in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and put in my construction lines, like I was talking about in my first video. So just make life easier. Okay, so those are good. Start by making a little box here. And some lines that are going up. Sure. Something like that. It's kind of the basic idea of what we're looking at. So the first feature I'll go ahead and introduce you to is the Polygon Feature. So depending on how you want to draw it, you can choose whichever one you want to. And basically, it works the same as a circle. You select your center point and then your diameter. There we go. And then to kind of help constrain this, I'll just make my top line here. Just make the top line here horizontal, and then give it some dimensions like it would a circle. So we got that, and then we can give our polygon dimension as well. Okay, so that's the polygon feature. Pretty simple. The next is going to be fillet. That'll probably be in your sketch drop down still. I use that one, fairly often. Maybe not as often as my rectangle and circle tools, but I just like to have it up here. And this one's pretty easy. You can just select a corner, and it'll go ahead and round it off to your specification. If you want to do multiple ones, you just keep clicking the ones that you want to be rounded off, and then when you get to your last one, before you hit enter, you can type in whatever dimension you want, and it'll make them all the same. So you have that little equal dimension there. And then if you want to change it, if I just change one of these, since they're already auto set up to change together, you can make them whatever you want them to be. Okay, another type of sketch dimension is the angle sketch dimension, and we'll use that to kind of define this guy right here. And to do that, you just need to select two lines at an angle, or you can do it with 2 lines and a point, or 3 points. In most cases, you'll need 3 points in order to do it, but since this is already at an angle, it just kind of pops up. But I guess to show you kind of what I'm talking about. There. If I just select those 2 lines, it'll give me an angle. Anyways, we wanted to put it down here. This is where that construction line comes in handy as a constraint point for my dimension. And there we go. Another feature that is useful depending on what you're making is a slot. And once again, there's several different ways to make it, to build it. It's pretty much based on preference of how you want to build it. But you can, sometimes other ones are going to be useful in certain situations, but the one I like to use this, you just select the two middle points and then drag out how big you want your slot to be. And then dimension it accordingly. So for this, you need to specify how long your slot is, and then one of your arcs, which will be a radius, not a diameter. I was talking about that in the other video, where your arc is always going to be defined by a radius, and a circle is always going to be defined by a diameter. I mean, that's a polygon here, but you know what I mean. So I'll go ahead and put another arc here. I like to use 3-point arc because in most cases I should say in a lot of cases they'll line up straight with the 2 endpoints will be on the same line, so it's pretty easy to just drag that out. And once again, that tangent relation will pop up depending on where you want to place it. In our case, I want it to be tangent. And then I'll just go ahead and line the slot up with that. to make it all nice. And doing that will keep the slot, keep the slot from moving around. Just want to delete these inner lines. So this is still moving because this guy's moving around. This was talking about in the other video, is like these aren't constrained and there's like no way to see that they're not, which is kind of annoying. So I'll go ahead and pop one of those in. That's interesting. Seem like, yeah, that's weird. Seems like only one of these sides got, or somehow the other tangent relation got deleted. Weird. But yeah. Okay, so now we can just give that outer arc of radius, and hopefully it'll stop moving around. A lot of 3D modeling, I find, is playing around with the tools that you have until you get an end product that you're looking for. It is a lot of trial and error. I've spent like weeks, well, maybe not weeks, but a couple of days just thinking about how to design something the way I want it to, and make it constrained to where everything lines up right. Which can be frustrating and rewarding at the same time. I mean, in that sense, it's a lot like it's a lot like computer programming, MATLAB and C++ and all that jazz. But yeah, once you get an end product and you kind of see the fruits of your labor per se, it's pretty rewarding. And one of the things that I like about it is you can build things that are pretty awesome. So I'm just making little like divots here, just for funsies. So that one's still moving around. What we can do to fix that? Give that name. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes just something weird as that. So you just you put in that one dimension that's making it wobble around the way you don't want it to, and you get it to work. So yeah. All right. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and extrude this, and to do that is pretty simple. You got to make sure you have an enclosed surface or an enclosed sketch. So if you notice what's being highlighted here, that's the part that I want to extrude, and then anything not highlighted is obviously not going to be extruded. So if I go ahead and select that, and for some reason that's not. I wanted this to be closed, so I'll just go ahead and make that. Coincident. There we go. Okay. So now I have this shape, and then when it turns blue, moving the camera around is a little weird, but so you just hold on the shift button and then the middle button on your mouse. I'm not sure how it works with a trackpad, but I would just recommend getting a mouse if you're going to be doing this stuff a lot. So you have the middle button on your mouse, on your little roller thing, and then the shift button, and then dragging it around will do that. Okay, so and the reason you want to kind of put it at an angle is so that way you can see this when you go to modify. So the way you're extruding sketches is a little different from program to program. In this case, you're going to use this modify, and it acts as both as a cut and as an extrude feature tool, depending on what you want to do with it. So that little thing pops up, and you can either type in a distance, and it'll make it however big you want it, or you can click and drag and push and pull, per se, to where you want it. So some things about this box up here. Your profile is basically that blue section you have selected. So if I want to change that to, say just that, then it'll pull that. And for some reason, it's weird in that it only lets you select one thing. See if I go out of the feature, and then shift click both of these, and then modify. So now I can pull both of these out. I don't know. For some reason, it doesn't allow you to just reselect your profile with both of those. I think that's kind of weird. Anyways, we're just going to go ahead and do this outer part to 1 inch. Taper angle, I've actually never played around with this. Let's see what it does. So it looks like that's changing. Changing the angle at which the holes are coming in, maybe. I don't know. I don't usually use that. Interesting. So direction, one side or two side. So you can have, the back side come out 3 inches, the front side come out 5 inches, or same, or whatever you want to do with that. One side, obviously, is what we were just doing. Symmetric. Both side goes out same distance. So you have some different options here. Join is if you're making a new extrusion on top of, say if we're making like a box on top of this, then you can use join. Cut, well, obviously cut and take away parts of your extruded part, intersect. The two parts will be collided with each other, and the new component is that they won't be attached at all. And then this will, depending on what you do here, will affect the other features that you add to it later on, such as your fillets and your chamfers. And then for your extends, you can do distance, to, or all. So for distance is like what we're doing here when you put in, say how far you want it to go. And then 2 is, say if I have a box, say if I make a new box just kind of like floating up here in the air, and I want it to extend down to this top face here, I can select my face of where I want it to go to, and it'll either cut or extrude depending on the situation to that point. And then finally, all will be through the entire extrusion, which comes in handy if you're like making a hole on top of an extruded structure. Actually, I can show you kind of how that works right now. So if I want to modify this out and then basically go back and cut this polygon out, I need to go in and turn on my sketch again. I can select part I want to cut, and then pull it. And if you notice, it turns red when it's cutting through, so that way you know if it's cutting or extruding in this case. So and it changes depending on which way you go, which I think is pretty nice because SolidWorks doesn't do this. You have to basically tell it what you want to do, and yeah. So like I said, if you do all, it'll go through all. If you do two, it'll ask you basically to where, and you select the face you want it to go to. And it's nice if you have like a variable shape and you only want it to go halfway through something. In most cases, I'll usually use all or distance, since that's pretty useful with sketch designs. Okay, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching.